The Rockies will play 20 interleague games in 2015. Tonight is game number 2. From the Big A, Angels Stadium, it's the LA Angels of Anaheim hosting the Rockies. The Angels prevailed with 3 in the 8th last night, 5-2 final. So the Rockies will try to earn the split before heading north of here to Los Angeles. And we begin tonight also telling you about some tough news, and we don't have a lot to give you right now, but Tommy Runnell's going to run the club tonight. Walt Weiss, a little after 4, was experiencing pains in the abdomen from what we've been told, and was taken to the hospital, not in an ambulance, but taken with head trainer Keith Duggar alongside to a local hospital to undergo some tests on why he was experiencing discomfort. As soon as we have more information on that, we certainly will pass it along. We wish Walt all of the best, obviously. So Tommy Runnels will manage the club this evening. Corey Dickerson will lead things off for Colorado tonight. They're facing another left-hander in Hector Santiago. We'll see how this lineup fares against Santiago. The Southwest batting order will feature Troy Tulowitzki batting second. Nolan's going to bat third. Cargo, who hit third last night, will slide to the 4th spot. Willeen Rosario once again, and not surprisingly, is the DH. Justin Morneau. Drew Stubbs will get a start for Charlie Blackmon. Nick Hundley, we were just talking about how well he's been playing. .342 average, leading the Rockies. And DJ LeMahieu not far behind at .340. Hector Santiago is a kid who grew up in New Jersey. Really good left-handed arm, and a guy that's surprised a lot of folks because he was originally drafted not by the Angels but in the 30th round by the White Sox.
And part of that 3-team trade with the White Sox in Arizona last year, it sent Trumbo over to Arizona, Adam Eaton to Chicago. But for Santiago, the 18 walks, that is his one Achilles heel, because 18, that's 6th most in the American League. So make sure if you're the Rockies tonight that you're very patient and you get him in the zone.
And he'll work anywhere from 90 to 95 with that fastball. And everybody we talked to this afternoon on the Angels side, and even on the Rockies side from a scouting report standpoint, Chris Warren said this, he can be effectively wild.
And he's also a crossfire. When he steps, he strides probably about a foot over to the first base side when he lets go of the ball across his body. And it's hard, especially on the left-handers, to see where the ball is coming from, but also the right-handers, they pick it up late, because he slings it and he comes out and around from that a different angle.
Here's the 2-1. And swung on a miss, 2-2.
And even though it's 91, 92, it seems harder than that. When you don't pick it up early enough.
He's a little herky-jerky. He's got, a semi-violent delivery. Probably not as violent as Franklin Morales, but all of a sudden he explodes toward the plate late.
So factor all of that in together, and that's what makes him tough to hit. A batting average against him just .208. Lefties hitting .176, right-handers .228.
Less wind tonight than last night. And Dickerson goes down on a high fastball. So Santiago, who can ring up strikeouts, fans Dickerson to begin as we take a look at the arsenal of Hector Santiago.
It is a fastball, 91 miles an hour, as we've seen. He will cut it, too. That's the thing. It's not just the four-seamer. It's the cut fastball. The changeup is a straight circle change, and then the slider. But the batting average against the fastball, that's the hard one. It's the 4th lowest to hit against in the major leagues.
On the inside corner to Tulowitzki. And it's strike 1 on Troy. The Rockies were held to 5 hits last night. And only one of those hits really was barreled. That was the double by Dickerson on a 2-0 pitch to the right field corner. There was a single and a double off the bat of Morneau, but he hit both off the end of the bat that were flares to left field. And the other 2 hits in the game, one by Dickerson, were infield hits. Nick Henley had the other one.
Both up to the second baseman, one up the middle, the other one went off the glove of the pitcher, C.J. Wilson.
And it wasn't like there were a lot of loud outs either. Hopefully the Rockies get the bats going tonight. They come into this ball game. Put that in the right syntax. 22nd in baseball in runs scored, which is shocking to Blake Doyle, shocking to everybody who follows the Rockies. That looked like a cutter or a high slider. 2 strikeouts. Arenado coming up, and here's how the defense will align for the Angels tonight. Matt Joyce in left field, Mike Trout's in center, Cole Calhoun, who made a great catch last night, in right. The only difference from last night is Albert Pujols, who was DHing last night, will play the field. And Krause, who was playing the field last night at first base, will DH. Carlos Perez getting a lot of time in that opening week of his big league career behind the plate with the struggling Chris Iannetta. We talked to him before the ball game. He's been in slumps before, and he's trying to extract himself from a really deep one right now.
Well, for Chris, too, when you're having offense that's struggling, they're looking for anything.
That's a fair ball. Cued down the right field line. Nolan is going to take a look and try for 2, and he's going to get in there easily with a double. That was off the very end of the bat. And Albert doesn't move well. I know he had a stolen base last night, but there was no way he was getting to that baseball.
No, and when off the end of the bat from a right-hander going down that first base line, the ball is turning, so you worry about it turning too much where it would go foul, and that's what Nolan does. Not sure where it's going, but it goes right over the bag and then just kisses along the wall down the right field line. I was just looking down to our right from our vantage point. There's some more Nolan fans out there. They were all standing up wearing their purple, yelling.
I was kidding Nolan before the game. I said we had 67 of your relatives on with Mark Stout last night. It's what trouble when Trout's in the game. He
just takes all your attention.
Yeah. But Mark had fun with Nolan's family. Cargo with 2 outs, chance to drive in a run. He has only 1 RBI in his last 22 games. Last night 0 for 4. And that's a strike. You know, when you have a superstar player who's going through a really tough stretch, yeah, you can give them a day here and there, but the bottom line is the only way they're going to get out of it is by getting their at-bats.
You have to pile some together, and you're just hoping that one swing kicks it in, hits the reboot button, whatever you want to say, and then just that one swing takes it, and he goes from there.
And misses. 2-1. That double for Arenado is 17th extra base hit. That's 5th in the National League. And Nolan Arenado, 110 family and friends. Counting them all up. Cargo drives this ball to right. Calhoun is there. And I'm saying, as you are at home, and I guarantee you number 5 is right now, okay, I finally square one up and it goes right at somebody. Calhoun at the top of the picture in the middle will be leading things off for the Angels. The Angels come into the ball game 16-17. They have been starved for offensive output like they had last year. They've been one of the poorest offensive teams in baseball this year after leading everybody in runs scored a year ago. Their lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Mike Scioscia has Albert Pujols batting third, David Freese, Eric Ibar, Johnny Giavotella, who drove in the game-winning run last night again. He's got 6 game-winning RBIs in the American League, second only to Nelson Cruz. Matt Joyce, Carlos Perez, and Mark Krause. Jordan Lyles looking to do something similar to what we saw last night from Kyle Kendrick, who worked very deep into the ball game, gave up just 2 runs in 7 innings. That's a good start.
Well, it is, because part of Jordan's problem, he started out the year in his first 4 games, he's 2-1 with the 292. His last 2, 0-2 with the 750. Both of those games came against Arizona, took the loss in both of them. 17 walks, again, 10 of them came in just 2 ball games, and that was something that was just eating him alive, saying, hey, I can't do that. If I want to be a ground ball, sinker ball pitcher, I got to pound the strike zone.
So Trout steps in. Kendrick held Trout hitless last night. And the first pitch is in there for a strike. Mike with the 0 for last night, lost 8 points on his batting average to slide a point beneath 300. 1-1 on Trout. And that's inside 2-1. He's always been one of the most patient hitters in baseball. In fact, a year ago, he was the most patient hitter in baseball. See those hats? Those were a giveaway tonight. Trout fouls us off. Last year, he saw 4.45 pitches per plate appearance, which was the most in baseball and 0.6 more than what the Major League average was, 3.83. This year, the average is 3.80. He's down to 4.30, and you say, well, that's not that big a difference. Actually, folks, it is. And talked to Mike about this before the ball game. He is consciously being more aggressive early in counts, and he is swinging at that first pitch about 21% of the time as opposed to 11% a year ago. And
this all started in the minor leagues. When he first broke in the minor leagues, said, I need to learn how to work pitchers. I need to learn how to see some pitches. So he would always take the first pitch.
Troy's going to get up and make the catch. Almost popped out of the glove. That alignment works out again because there are 3 on the left side. That would be a base hit because Tulowitzki probably would be 2 or 3 steps to the left of where he is right now.
Well, and as hard as Trout hits the ball, he's not going to get there. But you don't have the same vertical as if you're going side to side when you go to the lead to make that catch. So for Troy, just jump up like you're playing basketball in the high school days.
Yep. Pujols steps in. One more note on the pitches per plate appearance. You saw the note on Helton at the bottom. Todd in his career 4.09, and we always looked at Helton as a guy that saw a ton of pitches each at bat, and he did. So to see 4.45 gives you an idea. I mean, Trout packs a sleeping bag when he goes up to the plate.
Well, and sometimes he's hit leadoff for him. So, I mean, if you're leading off a game and you're seeing almost 5 pitches before anybody else does, you go back there, tell your teammates this is what he's got. I've got all the information that you need. But for Trout, too, when he puts the pressure on the pitcher, now after the pitcher gets him out or gets done with him, say, okay, I'm done with him. Oh, wait, I got Albert Pujols now.
Yeah, that's still no bargain. We watched Albert take batting practice today, and it's one of the great joys of what we do, to watch the truly great ones work their craft. And I mean, he just hits line drive after line drive, and most of them are right in the middle of the field.
Everybody thinks that batting practice is a home run fest. And when is it? It's the last round, maybe. Before then, it's working, taking the ball the other way or hitting the ball up the middle. And it's not just try to jack everyone, because they could. These guys could jack every pitch if they wanted to.
2-2. And
it doesn't accomplish anything.
No, and the other thing about guys like Cargo and guys like Pujols and Matt Holliday used to fall into this category. He still does if you watch him take batting practice. Trout, they'll hit line drives and you think, oh, that ball's, that would be a double in a game in the gap, and the ball just keeps going. It goes over the wall. So they hit it so they hit it harder than most everybody else.
That's why he has over 500 home runs and high batting average, extra base hits, all the things that's synonymous with Albert Pujols.
Well, he's 4th on the active list in hits. He's top 5 on the active list in every offensive category. He has 2,546 hits. 2 outs, nobody on. 3 and 2 on Pujols. And ooh, look out! That is in the air, and they're going to get an out. And Jordan Lyles, hopefully, is okay. And Pujols is going to walk by him and check on him. And that was an absolute rocket.
Did that go off his hand?
I hope it wasn't a hand. I hope it got. It may have been. Wow. No score. I think we have more bad news. This was a moment ago. Jordan Lyles picked up his jacket and went down the tunnel, and we were able to get a shot. He was not standing still, but you could. His hand had blown up already. This did hit him on his throwing hand.
On the outside part of his throwing hand. Immediately he started to shake on it. And here is the knot that you were talking about, Drew. Look at that already.
Wow. And now you worry about a fracture in there.
Yeah, you have to go get an x-ray.
And recall last year when on a tag play at the plate, he broke his hand.
That was his glove hand. This is his throwing hand. Christian Bergman is up in the bullpen, so that's your other indicator that he's done.
Unbelievable. 1-2 on Rosario. And Willeen hits this ball toward Trout in center, and he'll make the catch in right center field. That'll bring up Justin Morneau. I mean, that thing blew up immediately.
He knew it. When it went off his hand, he started shaking it, and walking to the dugout, he just had his head down the whole way.
Strike on the corner to Morneau, and that misses. 1-1. This is the first time in Santiago's career that he's faced the Rockies. And that's a high fly ball to Trout as well. Drew Stubbs will be next. In his career, he's hit close to 50 points better against lefties. And last year he had a huge year against left-handers. 279 lifetime average as Christian Bergman continues to throw. Against left-handers, 231 against right-handed pitching for Stubbs. So 2 outs, nobody on. Drew a couple home runs.
And tomorrow night for the Dodgers, going to be another left-hander, Brett Anderson, and then Clayton Kershaw on Friday night.
4 straight lefties. You'd see times like that a couple of years ago. It seemed like there were more lefties in the division.
Well, it used to be when I was coming out here playing the Angels, they had 4 left-handers in their rotation. I mean, talking about Mark Langston, Chuck Finley, Jim Abbott. I mean,
good lefties.
Yeah, it was like you're not coming out here to pad your average.
Yeah, not journeyman lefties.
No, and for me, since I hit left-handed, I was usually kind of get a trip to Disneyland.
Right, you got to watch a lot.
Yeah,
right?
well, the family would all come over from Arizona. They'd all get their, get them tickets to watch me not play.
Called strike 2-2 on Stubbs. Stubbs a year ago hit .328 against lefties. Not this time. He's gone. 3rd strikeout for Hector Santiago. Middle of 2, no score. And Christian Bergman is going to have to fill in for as long as he can for Jordan Lyles. Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by your hometown Toyota stores, Let's Go Places, and by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Welcome back to Anaheim in the Big A. The Rockies go to the bottom of the 2nd inning in a scoreless battle with the Angels, and they'll have to go the rest of the way without their starting pitcher, Jordan Lyles. He was hit on his throwing hand, the back of his throwing hand, a line drive off the bat of Albert Pujols to turn into a 1-4-3 out at first base, but his hand blew up. So Christian Bergman will take over. It is Wednesday. Christian last worked on Sunday, and he threw a couple of innings of relief. He is their long haul reliever, but you wonder after throwing
48
pitches on Sunday, I would think he's good for somewhere in that same neighborhood. That helps out. 1 pitch and 1 out.
A lot.
Yep.
But for Christian Bergman, you mentioned it, 7 appearances, 1 start. That 1 start was way back on April 14th at San Francisco, and that game was about 80 pitches that he was able to throw when he was filling in at 85 pitches, filling in for Jorge De La Rosa. That's his season high.
So 1 out, and Eric Ibar again hitting in that 5th spot will come to the plate. Ibar hitting .375 over his last 9 ball games. There's a bunt, and it'll go foul. We haven't taken a look at the Rockies defensively. In the outfield, Dickerson in left field. Drew Stubbs is patrolling center field. And Carlos Gonzalez is in right. It's the familiar foursome in the infield. Arenado, Tulowitzki, LeMahieu, and Morneau, with Nick Hundley doing the catching. Well, the thing I've always admired about Christian Bergman since he reached the big leagues, and you know I use this phrase a lot, Huey, he has a chip on his shoulder. He was a kid drafted in the mid-20s, and he has toughness to him. He doesn't have overwhelming stuff, but he will battle you, and he's not afraid.
And even with the extra deck in the big leagues, that extra 3rd or 4th level, that doesn't intimidate him. He says, no, field's a field, 60 feet 6 inches. I got to attack the hitters and then use my guile and guts.
This ball pulled foul. Bergman's a California kid. You know, there are guys down in that bullpen, Huey, that can more or less relax until around the 5th or 6th inning, and then, not that they're not focused on the game, but they can sit back and know their number's not going to be called. In the case of a guy like Christian Bergman, you are one play away. They say that about the backup quarterback. You're one play away from all of a sudden being in there. So you have to be even more ready than the other guys.
So you're saying your shoelaces have to be tight and everything ready to go from first pitch.
Absolutely.
The other guys can maybe even not have their shoes undone, but just have them lightly tied until the phone rings. Then they tighten them up, lace them up, and let's go.
That phone can ring 7 times between now and the 8th inning, and John Axford knows it's not for him.
Not him. He's got the 9th.
2 outs, nobody on, and here's Johnny, as they used to say with Carson, Johnny Giovitella, and he's making a name for himself with clutch hitting late.
He is kind of Mr. Late Night here for the Angels.
Last night, a 2-2 ball game, and Rafael Betancourt ran into some issues. That pitch was up, and Giovitella lined it to right. That made it 3-2, and then Matt Joyce, the slumping Matt Joyce, would drive in 2 more with a double. This ball's smoked. Nice pickup by Tulo, and Giovitella is out at first base. So a good 1-2-3 inning for Bergman in relief of Jordan Lyles. We're scoreless as we go to the 3rd at the Big A in Anaheim. We'll lead things off, then DJ LeMahieu in the top of the order. Who wants tacos? When the Rockies score 7 or more, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day. Do it between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Liv Moss at Taco Bell. So Hundley riding that 13-game hitting streak, and he made it 13 straight in his first at-bat last night, singling in this inning, the third inning, and he would come around to score. Rockies had a 2-0 lead. Unfortunately, they couldn't hold it. They also had a 5-2 lead on Sunday against Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers, and unfortunately we know how that one turned out. Rockies 8-4 this year when they score first. 1 ball, 1 strike on Nick. We were talking before the ball game, Jeff, about, and you and I can appreciate this, watching our kids play and how nerve-wracking it is watching your kids. And you played, for more than 10 years in the big leagues. And I guarantee you, because I know you so well, that you were far more nervous watching Kyle play hockey, Cody play baseball, watching Lindsey play volleyball than you ever were yourself getting in a box in the big leagues, right?
For sure, for sure.
Well, I said that to Nick because he has little ones, and and my son Gabe is with me, and somehow we're talking about that. And I said, one day you'll understand that. He said, I get really nervous, when my dad was coaching football. He goes, it was really hard for me to watch.
It's such a different dynamic. And my mom used to say the same thing to me. Mom, I got it covered. Don't worry about it. I'm not nervous. Why should you be? Until I've been on the other side of and sitting in the bleachers.
That's right.
And I squirm and I fidget so much that people can't sit within 2 feet of me.
And I think moms, I don't want to generalize, I think moms, I know my wife handles it far better than I do. 3-2. Did he hold up? Nope, they punched him out at first, according to Tony Randazzo. So that's a strikeout. Nick's not happy about it. But more often than not, I know my wife is this way, that she, as long as they're happy and as long as they're fed, then all. And I'm stereotyping, but they don't get as nervous about the outcome.
Has she been talking to Wendy?
Probably,
because it's you hit the nail right on the head.
DJ LeMahieu steps up, and DJ takes outside, ball 1. DJ hit .406 in April, one of the highest batting averages in Rockies history for the first month. Takes a strike, and like so many in that Rockies lineup, he has cooled off in May, hitting 160 in May. But that's inevitable. You're not going to hit 400 every month unless you're Ted Williams, I guess, right?
DJ's still hitting .340. That's 9th best in the major leagues.
I think this first time through is kind of a fact-finding mission for this lineup, because these guys have never seen Santiago before. Asked Tulowitzki if he's seen him at any point. He goes, I don't know, maybe spring training. But it's not, with all due respect to Hector Santiago, he's not a big enough name that you go, oh, yeah. I mean, if you saw Kershaw, you go, oh, yeah, I saw Kershaw in spring training. Saw Greinke in spring training. That's a called strike 3. He's now struck out 5 of the first 9.
He's averaging almost a strikeout per inning pitch. So for him to pile up some strikeouts, that's not unusual, but you're seeing guys take pitches thinking that it was inside or was going to cut. He struck out the last 3 guys that he's faced.
And but he struck out Corey Dickerson. In fact, the 5 strikeouts are now in order. Stubbs, Hundley, LeMahieu, Dickerson, Tulowitzki.
But to go back to spring training for a moment, you're more concerned during spring training about your swing than who's on the hill for that particular game.
And again, you don't know what the repertoire truly is, because they may come out and throw all fastballs depending on when you see them in March, or they may be working on their changeups, so they throw an inordinate number of changeups.
That's all they'll throw at that game. They won't even throw another breaking pitch. That's why some spring training numbers are skewed, and they're not put on the back of baseball cards.
There's 2 months that lie a great deal, March and September. March because it's spring training, and September because when the rosters expand, sometimes you don't know who the hits are coming off of. especially if you have two teams in September playing one another who are out of it. 1-2 on Dickerson. 313 average coming in for Corey. You see Corey without the lift there with 2 strikes. He just kind of spread out and fires the hands.
He's got so much power with his swing that he doesn't need to do the leg kick with 2 strikes. Just keep it in the ground and react.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of 89 to 91s. And we told you he will touch in the mid-90s, but he's sneaky, isn't he? It looks like the ball jumps at you.
Well, the herky-jerky throws it at you, and then the crossfire. And crossfire, what I mean is, with his right foot, he goes across his body. And when you talk to pitchers or pitching coaches, they say, okay, I'll take the width of a foot and the width of his foot, meaning 3 or 4 inches on either side, not a foot across his body. They'll take that, but when you start to go more, it's going to compromise your ability to throw consistent strikes.
One of the things he does when he takes the mound is he draws 2 lines off the rubber, like an alley, yes, to try to keep him in line.
Most guys will just draw 1 where they want that land foot to end up.
This ball's well hit, and it's going to drop for a base hit in front of Matt Joyce. Good at bat for Dickerson. 2nd hit for the Rockies. And that'll allow Tulo to hit here in the 3rd.
Again, the hand-eye coordination, really good, because that ball is down. With the foot back in the ground, he makes contact down and away from him. He slices it to right field, or to left field.
Yeah, he just has uncanny hand-eye coordination. All these guys, all
do.
You guys have to have great hand-eye coordination, but
some are better than others.
Some are better than others, and his are off the charts. Ball 1 on Troy. Tulowitzki 3rd on the all-time Rockies home run list in interleague play. He's got 23 bombs in interleague play. Here's the list. Helton leading with 28. Walk had 24. Cargo is in 4th spot, tied with Brad Hopp. Way inside, 3-0. And that touches the outside corner, so it's 3-1.
Now for Troy, think of 1 pitch in 1 spot only. Don't think away. Look for something in. Get the barrel out.
See what he goes to here, 3-1. Changeup.
Cut fastball.
That's what it was. 3-2.
Yeah, they flashed the fastball, then they flashed the changeup, and then the 5 is a cut fastball. It took enough off to have Troy out in front.
This is fouled off.
Gonna keep an eye now on foul or fly balls into the outfield. The sky. It's tough to pick up for outfielders. So if you're the runner, just keep running hard. They might lose it.
Well, that's a high pop up in the infield, short left field. Ibar waiting, and he'll make the catch. So the Rockies get a 2-out knock from Dickerson. He's left at first, middle of 3, no score.
Injured on that Albert Pujols ball that came off of his right hand. That means Christian Bergman is on the hill on an emergency basis. And Drew, you were talking about him being a Southern Cal guy. And you know what? On the plane, I said, have you been at the Big A? He said, yeah, pitched there in high school in the championship game for St. Francis High, La Cañada, not far away from here. And he said he pitched against Brad Boxberger, who is the Rays closer and then went to USC. They dueled here in 2006 in a CIF championship game. He says they lost, but online it says that they won the game, that they were the champions, the Golden Knights from St. Francis. So if somebody knows, you can tweet us at @RootSports_RM.
Whoa, we have a discrepancy on who won?
He told me that they lost on a walk-off.
I'm going to believe him.
He said that he could only pitch 7 because he threw 3 innings previous, and that week there's a rule you can only pitch 10 innings in a week because they were getting to the championship.
Might be a California rule.
Might be. This is all conversation on the plane on the way over here, so he's familiar with the Big A. We'll leave it at that.
Well, you talk to college coaches in this area, they don't have to recruit more than 10 miles. They don't have to drive more than 10 miles, and they could load up, whether it be USC, UCLA, or any of the smaller schools.
Right, and some of the D3 schools.
Yep.
I mean, the way they have their scholarship limitations.
Nolan will take this one. Rockies fans, you can join the conversation. Send us your thoughts, photos via Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook using the hashtag Toyota Talk. We'll show some of your Toyota Talk comments throughout the ball game. And here's, the Rockcats have now won 12 straight ball games in the Eastern League. How about that?
Well, Austin House, their closer, has 12 saves. That leads all of minor leagues.
12 wins, new franchise record. That's terrific. I know your son Kyle's been able to been out there.
He's been to one game there. And next year they'll be over into Hartford.
With a new name.
Yard Goats.
Is that what it is? 1-2 on Carlos Perez. Somebody tweeted us that, and we trying to remember what it is. Something like that.
That's pretty good. 12 straight.
Ball in the air to Cargo in right, and Perez is retired. I'll bring up Mark Krause. Krause DHing tonight. Last night he played first base.
Well, they wanted to give Albert 2 days off the feet. With the day off they had on Monday, DH last night.
Well,
they're off tomorrow.
Yeah, it certainly paid off for Albert. Look how fast he was yesterday.
Speedy. He was just trucking between first and second.
Breaking ball for a strike. Krause was hitting over 400 in his previous 10 ball games down in Salt Lake City to earn the promotion. They're starved for offense. You never would have said that a year ago. Mentioned that they scored more runs than anybody else in baseball last year. But think about this. Howie Kendrick is now a Dodger. It gives you an idea how valuable Kendrick was to the Angels. That was a quick at bat. Great work so far by Bergman. He's faced 6 and he's retired all 6. So we'll move on to the 4th inning. Only 2 hits in the game. The Rockies have both of those. Jenny, thank you. I can't believe that Papelbon has more saves there than Lidge.
We were watching this during dinner tonight. Said the same thing. It was, you think about the Phillies, you don't think about Papelbon. That's not the first closer that comes to mind, at least for me.
No, I would agree. 2 strikes on Arenado.
Watch it.
Dougie handed me a note. Rob Nen, all-time leading saves guy for the Giants and the Marlins.
He had that unusual delivery where his stride foot would hit and then it would go out again before he threw the ball. It's kind of a toe tap like a hitter would do, but he toe tapped as a pitcher.
And then he threw 98. 1-2 on Nolan, and Arenado's gone. That is 6 strikeouts for Hector Santiago. Came in with 31 strikeouts in 35 innings. Jeff mentioned almost a strikeout per inning pitch, so he could do that. Cargo's hit the ball hardest against him. He hit a frozen rope, but right at Cole Calhoun in right with Nolan Arenado on second. Nolan had cued a double down the right field line. That's a strike. Cargo in his career has hit .274 against lefties, which is the 8th highest batting average left on left in the game. Ichiro, by the way, is number 1 at .330. Cargo quickly behind 0-2. You're in that grind mode. Baseball players talk about it all the time, and Cargo trying to grind his way out of this horrible slump. That misses.
And then when you finally put a good swing on a ball, you line out to the right fielder where he doesn't even have to move. But you do have to take solace in the fact that it was a better approach and a better swing.
2-2. He went cutter, and it's 3-2. You try to, when things aren't going well, you try to hold on to something, and I keep saying his takes are a little better. Strike 3. Called strike 3 on Gonzalez. That's 7 strikeouts now for Santiago.
For Santiago, his season high is 8. That was against Oakland 3 or 4 starts ago.
Think about the start of the year. The opening, 10 days of the season, the Rockies, whether it was home or away, not striking out. And now the totals have been coming in bunches at times. And not surprisingly, the Rockies trying to break a 10-game losing streak. Willeen Rosario hit a fly ball to center field his first time. League hitting a .186 against Santiago's fastball.
Johnny Cueto's the leader in that category.
That is up the middle and on through a base hit. So Willeen continues to do damage against left-handed pitching, and he has a 2-out single. So the lowest opponent average against a fastball, Johnny Cueto, is number 1 at 124. Scott Kazmir, who's resurrected his career the last couple seasons in Oakland, at 171. Chen at 181, and then Santiago at 186.
I already talking about Kazmir being one of the first pitchers to be traded. Things continue the way they are for Oakland.
Who is they?
That's a good question. Valid question.
They are all the people that look at a roster, and Troy Tulowitzki's dealing with that right now, to be honest. That's down the line, just foul. So people look and they say, oh, so I love this over the last couple of years. The Yankees are going to have a need at shortstop, as if, every team is a AAA affiliate waiting to trade whoever they have that has value to a team like the Yankees or the Dodgers that have a need. And that's when they come in and say, oh, Tulowitzki may be traded, or Kazmir may be traded. Any team that's not performing well. And obviously some guys will get traded. We're not saying that they won't.
Or they'll say, yeah, we'll trade you Kazmir for a guy down in A-ball who's a utility player.
Right. Oh, I love those.
Those are the greatest.
Those are talk show trades. 1-2, that's line to left field. Good piece of hitting there by Justin Morneau. So now the second time through, the Rockies are 3 for their first 6, so maybe getting a feel for Hector Santiago.
Second time through. Willeen went up the middle with this base hit, then Justin Morneau. A little bit like Fred McGriff, where he takes the top hand off after he makes contact with a little helicopter follow. That's like a backhand in tennis where you're just trying to hit it down the line and you'll block your swing off.
So Stubbs up there with 2 outs and 2 on. And Drew takes a strike. This ball lined to center field, base hit. Here comes Rosario, the throw by Trout, not going to get him. Drew Stubbs moves into second base. So Stubbs comes through, and the Rockies have a 1-0 lead. 3 back-to-back-to-back, 2-out singles. And the Rockies put a run up against Hector Santiago, who is dominating them.
But all it takes is a couple guys to string some at-bats together, and then Drew comes through. Ball down and away from him, hits it up the middle, and then Mike Trout airmails the cutoff man and Albert Pujols. Justin keeps going, trucking around to third. Drew goes into second. How big is that for everybody, but more importantly for Drew Stubbs?
Well, he's hit 2 home runs. We all know how rough it's been, and as you see the good slide by Rosario, how rough it's been for Drew Stubbs. I guarantee you, when Mark Stout talks to him after the ball game, he'll say that single, and hopefully it results in a win, that single was more gratifying than the 2 home runs he hit.
I mean, think about the only other hit he had was the ball right out in front of home plate a couple days ago, on Sunday.
Yeah, it went about 5 feet.
Yeah, and he beat it down the line. But that one, there was no doubt he squared it up.
Listen, it's a zip game. Santiago's been dealing. 2 outs, got a runner in scoring position, and he smoked the ball up the middle.
And then one more hit, and you're up 3-0.
Two strikes on Hundley. And he gets him on a breaking ball. In the inning, the Rockies get a run. Rosario got the rally started with a 2-out single. Morneau single to left, and then Drew Stubbs rips one up the middle, and the Rockies have a 1-0 lead in Anaheim. Colorado, for the 3rd straight game, has a lead. It's 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. With every challenge call, the Subaru Eyesight Review will determine the outcome. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. Well, Tommy Runnels is the acting manager tonight. Walt was at the ballpark all afternoon, and then sometime around 4, he was feeling discomfort from what we've been told in the abdomen area, and Keith Duggar decided that they should go to the hospital, and we don't have any further reports as of right now. But Walt is not in the dugout. Keith Duggar, the Rockies head trainer, is not in the dugout. And hopefully Walt is doing just fine. But Tommy Runnels, longtime bench coach and a former big league manager, is running the club tonight.
Well, if we know anything about Walt, we know how tough he is. So for for Walt to say, I'm not feeling well, I need to maybe go to the hospital, he's in some pain.
Yeah, Mike Trout up there. Something tells me that he had to be talked into it because, again, he was one of the toughest people you and I know. Trout lined to short his first time, and that catches the outside corner.
Well, 6 of 7 first pitch strikes for Christian, and now 25 pitches thrown, 19 strikes. Pretty efficient.
Real efficient. On the other side, Hector Santiago, who's pitched very, very well, but because of the number of strikeouts, you got to pitch you got to throw at least 3 to get a strikeout, as we all know. He's in the upper 70s in terms of pitches thrown, and there's a strikeout at Trout. So Christian Bergman with his second strikeout, and again, very quickly, there are 2 gone in the 4th inning.
You get ahead 0-2, you can do whatever you want. 1-2 on the count. He just elevates the fastball to Mike Trout, and the one weakness that Trout has in his swing is from the belt up.
Yeah, you don't want to. It's weird because you're always telling pitchers, keep the ball down, keep the ball down. If you keep the ball down to Mike Trout, this is how much better in the red he hits than the league average. So if the ball's down in the middle of the plate, he hits 136 points higher than the league average. Away, or down and in, I should say, 139 points better. And he hits better than the league average in the middle. But above the belt, he hits well below the league average. The good news for Trout is very rarely do pitchers throw the ball up there.
No, because they're not taught that. They're taught throw down, get down, hit down in the zone. But the minus 111 average up in the middle part of the plate, the league average there is 283, and he's hitting 111 points below that.
So he should struggle with guys like Josh Colmenter and Chris Young, guys that pitch up in the zone.
Right.
Albert constantly working on his mechanics. 1-2 with 2 outs, and this is in the air to shallow left. This could drop. Nope, Tulo's going to get there. And now it's 12 in a row set down by the combination of Jordan Lyles and Christian Bergman to begin the game. We're off to the 5th inning. The Rockies to by the Ford Fusion. Power you want, good looks too. Ford, go further. By Southwest Airlines, book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Angel Stadium in Anaheim, the Rockies leading Los Angeles 1-0. DJ LeMahieu will lead things off in the 5th inning. In the top of the order, DJ caught looking his first time. That was pitch number 79 already for Hector Santiago. And that's the book on Santiago. He typically doesn't go deep in games, even when he's having a good outing. He's giving up 1 run. He's having a good outing tonight, but high pitch count. He hasn't walked anybody. It's all the strikeouts. He has 8 strikeouts. So he's 80 pitches in with nobody out in the 5th inning. And this ball is lined to center field. Trout coming on will get there.
What a break by Mike Trout on that ball. Thought it was going to drop, hung up long enough for him to catch it. For Mike Trout, he has that first quick step that everybody looks for, especially in the outfield. Just a phenomenal athlete.
Dickerson is 1 for 2. Corey singled in the 3rd. Did you find it helpful too, Huey, when Corey was just up and the game has tempo to it, so it's not like 35, 40 minutes between at bats. I mean, he was up 13 minutes ago.
That's great. That's great because it's still fresh in your mind. You're still kind of in that hitterish mode where you're saying, I've got my bat, I got my batting gloves, I know what I just saw. I want to get up there as soon as I can again, and I got to hit my last time up.
Little tilt in that swing. 2 balls and a strike. Dickerson 5 home runs. He's driven in 16. That's a strike. Santiago out of Newark, New Jersey, and Northwest Florida State College.
Huh?
Exactly. It actually had a different name a few years ago. Don't ask me to tell you the name, but I know it goes by Northwest Florida State College. He was 30th round pick again of the White Sox in 2006 out of that school.
We're always hopeful that somebody drafted late will do something for your club and your organization. And the 30th rounder,
that's really late.
I mean, that's just shows a lot of fortitude for the scout to say, hey, we need to draft this guy. And also Santiago to put in the work.
Oh, by the way, it used to be known as Okaloosa Walton College. I think those are the two those are two counties down there, I think.
I don't. Okaloosa is.
Is there a Walton County too? Or maybe Walton's in Okaloosa County. I don't know. Somebody from Florida will tell us we're all wrong. Tony Sipp, Jason Michaels went there.
Okay.
This is popped up, playable, and David Freese will make the catch.
And you want to schedule a group outing at Coors Field. You can get discounts and scoreboard recognition when you bring your group of 25 or more. So get your group on. Call 303-ROCKIES or go to Rockies.com/groups. But make sure you do it today.
One strike on Troy, a strikeout, and a pop to short. Rockies up 1-0. After
the game, make the short trek up to L.A.
It'll be short when we go. Wouldn't be
short
if we tried to
do
go
it at 4 o'clock.
Yeah. This ball's lined to left, and it's going to get down for a 2-out knock. And Nolan Arenado will come up.
Well, that's how last inning started, with the 2-out base hit by Willeen.
Well, Nolan Arenado spent a lot of the offseason, as he generally does. He works out with Tulowitzki. He also works out in Southern California at the same facility that Albert Pujols works out of. I believe it's in Newport. And so they did some lifting together, and then they were chatting, and Albert invited him to hit with him. So on a couple of occasions, Nolan hit with Albert, and he said it was an unbelievable experience, and he picked up new drills, just how Albert is so structured and how he goes about his preparation, and it was invaluable to anybody, but particularly a young player like Arenado, who has all of this talent. Good for a guy like Albert to want to share.
Keep the game simple, but yet let me show you some of the knowledge that I've acquired over the year. And for Albert, part of that knowledge of what he does is he hits off a tee for 10 or 15 minutes a day.
This is rolled deep in the hole. Ibar is going to try to throw out. Nolan's not going to get it. It'll be an infield hit. We talked about that very thing because Albert does maybe more tee work than anybody. Alex Rodriguez does a lot of tee work, I know, also. And Nolan's not as big with the tee work, but he's probably more into it now.
Right, and always helps when you have these infield singles. You hustle down the line. They weren't going to get Troy at second base, but Ibar still thought he had a shot at first, and it was pretty close after the bobble. But again, just like last inning, back-to-back base hits with 2 outs. You're sitting here in the 5th. Back-to-back. Time for another base hit and another RBI.
Cargo a line drive to deep right, and he was caught looking at a 3-2 fastball. Stubbs has driven in the only run with that 2-out single Jeff alluded to a moment ago. A run on 7 hits for the Rockies. Inside on Cargo. Rockies have 6 singles and a double. And all 7 hits, by the way, have come with 2 outs. 2-out hit in the first inning. 2-out hit by Dickerson in the 3rd inning.
And then none bigger than that hit by Stubbs last inning.
And that's off the plate. It's 2-0 on Cargo.
Mike Morin, the right-hander, is now up and throwing in the bullpen for the Angels.
Well, the next pitch is number 98 for Hector Santiago. There's Morin. He got up last night, did not get in the game.
In 5 of the 6 starts for Santiago, he's thrown over 100 pitches, but no more than 109 in a ball game. So he's just about at his ceiling.
2-1. And a nasty slider, 2-2. Tulo at second, Arenado at first, 2-2. Next pitch, number 100 tonight for Santiago. Went slider again, and this is an easy play for Freeze. That'll put the inning down. We've played 4.5 in Anaheim. The Rockies leading 1-0. Not a lot of offense again, but the Rockies have the only run. A run on 7 hits. The Angels do not have a hit. Jordan Lyles had to leave after 1 inning. Albert Pujols hit a line drive off the back of his hand. They haven't completed x-rays as of yet, or if they have, we don't have the results. Lyles was hopeful that it was just a severe bruise. Christian Bergman's been outstanding in relief, and he starts out Freese with a changeup for a strike. Freese hit a comebacker his first time. David Freese, Eric Ibar, Johnny Giavotella. And that's a strike here in the 5th inning for the Angels.
Well, the difference between Santiago and Bergman, not only velocity, but Bergman just pounding the strike zone. 34 pitches, 26 for strikes.
And 3 pitches, see you later. Let's check in with Mark Stout. 1 gone in the 5th. Mark?
So Christian Bergman is making his first outing against an interleague team. When you go back to the very first Rockies game against an interleague team, it was June 12th, 1997 at Seattle. And the unusual starter was Darren Holmes. He's going to tell us the story here.
I think that Swifty couldn't go. I think he was having shoulder problems. And because I had started before, I had 1 start. I think I went 7 innings, and so Bader. It wasn't too far away from that. Maybe a couple weeks only away from that. And I had been backing up Swifty some. I kind of did everything that year. I started, I closed, I set up, I pitched in long relief, came in behind Swifty because he could only go about 5 innings. So it was kind of I was kind of a mutt.
I like that description he uses for himself, kind of a mutt. Guys, he told me that Don Baylor made that decision to start him on the plane ride to Seattle the day before.
Well, there's the first hit of the night for the Angels, and it'll be a double for Eric Ibar. And now Ibar's going to try to move up, throw to third, out at third base. Tulowitzki to Arenado, bad move by Eric Ibar. So the Angels briefly, Huey, had a base runner.
Yeah, and then he wasn't very smart to try to take it over to third, even after he got by DJ, because Troy's right there to pick up the throw and gun him down at third. Ibar thinks he has a shot. Carlos comes in, short hops DJ, gets by him, but then Troy realizing what's going on. No problem, I'll get it over to Nolan, you're out. See ya.
Look at how key that was by Arenado, Huey. He gave him a throwing lane. Nolan on the backhand. There's a throwing lane to first. And that's all for the Angels. Well done defensively by the Rockies. The Angels did get their first hit of the night. We'll go to the 6th inning. Colorado 1 and the Angels nothing. A day after every Rockies victory, get 50% off your online order at Papa John's. The promo code is ROXWIN at papajohns.com. Molina single and the only run scored in this game. He had a 2-out single in the fourth. Morneau followed with a hit, and then Stubbs followed with a base hit. You're up to date offensively. And this is a high fly ball to deep left center field. And Trout will make the catch right in front of the track. Willeen just missed that. One gone. Drew Goodman along with Jeff Houston and Mark Stout tonight. The Rockies tomorrow will begin a 4-game set against the Dodgers. Dodgers lost at home to Miami today 5-4.
Little earlier start in that ball game so Miami can take off.
Dodgers don't do that very frequently.
No, they don't.
That's outside on Justin. He lined a single to left his first time up. Christian Bergman. How about this? 38 pitches in his 4 innings of work. Is that any good?
30 for strikes.
This ball is hit high in the air to deep right field, and Calhoun is going to make a catch right in front of the wall. So back-to-back, Rosario and Morneau missed home runs by a grain on the barrel.
Well, and Santiago's lucky that it's a cooler night here in Anaheim, because both of those balls later on in the summer are deposited for home runs.
Drew Stubbs, that RBI single in the fourth. That's the difference in this game right now. And Drew takes ball 1. It's a classic example of how the American League's different from the National League. I'm not so sure this isn't Santiago's last inning, as he's closing in on 110 pitches. This is a high fly ball to right. But it would be guaranteed because he's due up third.
And they're losing.
Next inning if this was a National League ballpark. He obviously is not due up because he's not hitting. DH is in place. 1-0, middle of 6. Bergman's been outstanding. Brought to you by the University of Colorado Denver. CSU Denver learns with purpose at learnwithpurpose.org. By the Colorado Lottery, expect the unexpected. And by Mike Shaw Subaru, always our lowest price in sales and service guaranteed. Just a couple minutes, literally a couple minutes from here at Disneyland. You can see the fireworks every night from far away, even if you didn't pay admission to Disneyland. We had a blast there on Monday. 1-0 the score. Matt Joyce in the 6th inning for the Angels. Then Carlos Perez and Mark Krause. He fouls off the first pitch. Christian Bergman pounding literally the strike zone. 31 now out of 39 pitches in the zone. And we have official word on Jordan Lyles. Great news. No fracture on Jordan Lyles in that hand that was struck by the line drive off the bat of Albert Pujols. This is the first inning. Pujols batting third. There's 2 outs, nobody on. Pujols lines it off with Jordan. And DJ LeMahieu made a great play. He gets to this baseball and throws out Pujols, but the hand immediately blew up. He was in the dugout, 15, 20 seconds later, and you could visibly see the swelling. And he had to naturally leave. He walked downstairs, and you're fearing the worst. Remember, he broke his left hand on that tag play at the plate last June the 5th, and he ended up missing 2 months. And you're thinking, oh no, another type of injury that's going to keep Jordan out. So that is outstanding news. No fracture. 2 strikes on Joyce, and strike 3 on Matt Joyce. Christian Bergman have a night.
Why not? 11 to 13 first pitch strikes, 0-1, 0-2. Now make it strike 3. Sit down. Well, folks, the Rockies Dugout Stores is a place for all things Rockies, with the best selection of Rockies merchandise and tickets, plus exclusive new Peanuts bobblehead of the month. Get your gear on at the Rockies Dugout Stores.
Carlos Perez, and Perez hits a high pop to shallow left, too low. Drop steps and makes the catch. That's 2 outs.
This is pitching 101. Well, something that has been lacking for most of the season. Attack the strike zone. Throw strikes. It just shows you how hitters are anxious to hit. Yeah. And if you're ahead in the count, they'll take more off-balance swings. They'll take swings that they normally wouldn't if they're ahead in the count.
Well, listen, I know it's 2 ball games. It started last night with Kyle Kendrick. He pounded the strike zone, didn't walk anybody, 7 innings, gave up 2 runs. Tonight, Jordan Lyles had that first inning that was fine, and now Bergman has been terrific in his efficiency. Mark Krause up there, he was caught looking his first time. 4 strikeouts for Bergman out of St. Francis High School in La Cañada, California. And our colleague Jason Hirsch pitched at St. Francis along with his brother, 2 guys that pitch professionally. How about Mark Loretta? He went there. Greg Zahn went there.
Z-Man.
Yeah. And this is popped up right side, and there's about 18 guys on the right side for the Rockies, so somebody will grab it. It'll be Troy Tulowitzki, and it's another quick, and I mean quick, 1-2-3 inning for Bergman. That was 8 pitches.
Last inning was 6.
4 games. Here is Stanton last night at Dodger Stadium. This was the entirety of the Marlins offense last night. This one should have counted for more than 1 run. It was a solo home run. It should have counted twice, though. He literally hit it out of Dodger Stadium.
5th time ever out of Dodger Stadium. So if it goes all the way, I think it's more than 2. I think it should be 3 runs.
Rich Walls, Tommy Hutton on the call. Nick Hundley at the plate. Nick's got a 13-game hitting streak, and Nick has struck out twice. He's facing Matt Morin now. Hector Santiago goes 6 innings, allows a run on 7 hits, didn't walk anybody, and he struck out 8.
Morin's a 3-pitch mix. Fastball, slider, changeup. Coming out of the bullpen.
He's out of the University of North Carolina. Grew up in the Midwest, Overland Park area in Kansas. 2-1.
A lot of good athletes come out of Overland Park.
That is a fact. Yeah, we were going to get to that. Houston Street signed a 2-year contract extension with the Angels. It's a club option for 2018. He's got 11 saves this year. He had a 1-2-3 save last night against the Rockies. And his save percentage all time. This one's down the line. Fair ball. Long throw by Freese. And he just did get Nick Hundley. That's a good play by Freese.
Well, first he had to slide to stop it. Well, that was the hard part. And then to come up and make the throw to get Nick going down the line. And Chopper on the second hop, when he goes to catch it, he pops up quickly and gets rid of it. Doesn't come up over the top like most third basemen would on that play. And you see it bouncing foul territory, but went over the bag fair. And then just a sidearm flick and a strong arm.
One strike on DJ. LeMahieu hitting .354 out on the road. That's the 8th best road average in the National League. Strikeout and a line out. Rockies hit it much harder tonight than they did last night. I know they only have 1 run. Last night at this juncture they had 2. But I only recall 1 hard hit ball last night. Again, that was a double by Dickerson to the right field corner. The other 4 hits, 2 were infield hits and 2 were off the end of Morneau's bat.
The other thing I think is all 7 hits have come with 2 outs. That's the other part of the equation.
Good and bad.
Yes. Yeah, good and bad, you're right, but they have put those hits together at the right time.
And LeMahieu's done. 2 outs. Time for some hits. Corey Dickerson coming up.
For a great ticket deal, check out a Rockies mini plan. 10-game plan start at just $110 per package. The 10-game plan. Call 303-ROCKIES or go online to Rockies.com.
Dickerson a single back in the 3rd. He's 1 for 3. Corey was at Disneyland, his family on Monday.
California is always the destination of choice for families to make a road trip. Whether it's San Diego, LA, up to San Francisco.
I think we've spent a lot of time out here. We understand why. Did you see the forecast for tomorrow? Well, they actually need it out here. There's been a tremendous drought, but the forecast calls for rain in Los Angeles, which you almost never see. This is off the end of the bat, and it's going to drop. Another hit for Dickerson. Another multi-hit game for Corey.
He broke his bat. Broke his bat, but you'll break your bat for a hit any day of the week.
And now that's 8 hits, all with 2 outs for the Rockies.
Goes down. Pitches off the plate. Off the end of the bat. And Corey used a cup bat. I'm not sure even with the solid bat at the end that bat wouldn't have broken.
Tulowitzki a base hit his last time. Troy's 1 for 3. Well, he's overdue to run into one and hit one about 440. Just 2 home runs on the season for Tulowitzki. Like so many power hitters, a lot of times they come in significant bunches. Remember that September he had a few years ago when he hit 15, drove in 40? Well, he and Babe Ruth, the only guys that have a September like that, right?
That was like a video game month for him.
That was ridiculous.
Where he had the cheat codes the kids like to use.
This ball is left up and it's lined to right field. That's a base hit. Dickerson's going to go first to third. And here the Rockies go again with 2 outs. I don't know if I've seen this. 9 hits, all with 2 outs. And other than the double by Arenado, the first hit the Rockies had in the first inning. And that was a cue shot down the right field line. Down the first base line, really more accurately. The Rockies have all singles.
It doesn't matter whether they come with 0 outs, 1 out, or 2. But now that Mr. Clutch, Nolan.
2 hits tonight for Arenado. Looking for a third. Give the Rockies a little more breathing room. Up 1-0 in the 7th inning.
Also a chance to extend his team lead in RBIs.
Morin misses there. It's 2-0. Last 2-0 count he had, he went breaking ball.
The slider is his second best pitch. Fastball, he likes to throw it. It'd be 92 to 95, but his slider's his go-to. And there it was.
That pitch backed up and was way inside. Nolan couldn't hold up.
Well, he's lucky he fouled that off. I've seen guys try to hold up and they'll hit one right back to the pitcher.
And that slider was well placed. 2-2. This is a very aggressive team, the Rockies. They do not walk, which is, a good thing at times and a bad thing. And right now, not swinging the bats like they're capable of, it's a kind of a bad thing because they're not, they're not generating a lot of hits, but they're not getting any freebies either.
Only 59 walks.
And that's strike 3. So he throws him one legitimate strike, and Nolan watched it, and the Rockies leave 2 on. Stretch time in Los Angeles, Anaheim to be specific. The Angels trailing the Rockies 1-0.
Lashman. Rockies fans, you know all about Rene, but do you know about his two brothers that coach in the Angels organization to this day? I want to show you a photo that was taken down at spring training, and it's Bill and his brother Marcel, and look at the number of years they've been in baseball: 52, 48, and 46. When you add that up, guys, it's 146 years of baseball experience. Go back to 1869, the time when there was the first professional baseball team in Cincinnati. That was 146 years ago.
I thought you were going to say Latch was on that team.
I didn't want to say that to him because I said, "Hey, Latch." He said, "Yep, we got it covered."
Sharply hit ball, and it hops over the glove of Justin Morneau. So a leadoff single for Cole Calhoun. Just the second hit tonight for the Angels. And the first time the leadoff man has been on.
One of the rare times tonight that Christian has left the pitch up over the middle part of the plate, and that was a changeup that he left up.
And now you're in the difficult part of that Angels order. Mike Trout, a line out and a strikeout. And that's pulled down the line. What a play by Arenado. He's going to get it out at second base. Nolan steals a double from Trout and gets it out as well.
And then DJ on the backside of it has to stretch like a first baseman, and as a guy is sliding into him trying to take out his legs. Just two sparkling defensive plays. Nolan getting the smash and the grab to throw to second base, and then DJ keeping his foot on, and Cole Calhoun taking DJ out at second base. That's smart from DJ, knowing that he's not going to have a chance to make the turn. And he's lucky his foot got out of the ground just enough that it didn't hurt that ankle or knee.
You know, Calhoun's trying to break up too, but once DJ's lying there, it became a really dangerous play.
It did, and it, you know, high school or college, it'd be an automatic double play or you get thrown out because you have to slide directly into the bag.
Big time speed at first, and Mike Trout. Pujols lines one down the line. That is a fair ball, and it jumps in the crowd. That's a break for the Rockies because Trout would have scored. So it's second and third, one out. More than 500 career home runs, more than 500 career doubles for Pujols.
You're hoping it would hook enough that it would go foul. It did not. Albert pulls the hands in to get the barrel so it doesn't hook. It hops into that short wall down the left field line. That wall down there is roughly about 5.5 feet high.
And Tommy Runnels is going to go and take the baseball from Christian Bergman, who has been outstanding tonight. And Scott Oberg will be next. What a job by Bergman. You figured maybe you could get 2 innings, maybe 3 out of him because the work he did on Sunday. He ends up taking the baseball in the second, doesn't give it up until there's 1 out in the 7th. 1-0 Rockies. Out in the 7th inning, Christian Bergman, tonight's game changer, brought to you by T-Mobile. He came in to begin the 2nd inning after Lyles was hit in the 1st inning on his hand, and all he did was go 5 1/3. Very economical innings. Gave up just 3 hits, struck out 4. I mean, he didn't come close to. I don't remember a 3-ball count. I don't remember many 2-ball counts.
And only threw 50 pitches to do that.
Hopefully, guys were looking on tonight and watching, because Kendrick last night didn't walk anybody, kept the team in the game. And tonight, Christian Bergman has to take over in the 2nd inning and was terrific. Now pressure on Scott Oberg. This is a difficult situation. You have David Freese, the former Cardinal cleanup man, at the plate. 0 for 2 tonight. The Rockies will bring the infield in.
Now where you're hunting the strikeout if you're Scott, with the fastball or that big overhand curveball.
Inside. You have some of the best speed in the game at third base. I asked Mike Trout before the game, I said, what's the fastest 60 you've ever put together? 6.38.
That might win some of the races at the NFL Combine.
Well, he plays at, I asked him this also, that's inside, he plays at 238 pounds. You look at him, you go, no, that's not 238. He's 238 pounds, and he is one of the fastest players in the game. You're right. I mean, you look at him, and you go, that's a running back or a linebacker, and he would test out faster than just about any running back or linebacker
first rounder
at the NFL Combine. That misses. It's 3-0. Ibar, who can fly, is on deck also.
I'm sure David Freese has the green light. 3-0.
4 pitches out of the zone. And now Freese to first. And this is where it gets tricky. Put your middle infield hat on, because you have a guy with plus speed out of the left-hand side of the box.
But you have the 1-0 lead. So you would play maybe a step deeper than you normally would defensively, because you want to have some extra range to make sure you got at least 1 out. The problem with Ibar, though, he has 220 infield hits in the last 3 or 4 years, so he's tough to double up, as you said. So you're going to play the corners in, you'll play the infield in the middle, they'll play back for the double play, and you just hope that he hits it hard enough that you can turn it.
Ibar had the first hit for the Angels. It came with 1 out in the 5th inning, a double against Bergman. He's been swinging the bat very well, 375 over his last 9 ball games.
And there's no pattern with where he'll hit it. If it's away, he'll take it to left field. If it's in, he'll pull it down the line. So you have to play it straight up defensively. Even in the outfield.
And it's lined to center field immediately for a base hit. Pujols got a big jump. Here's the throw to the plate. And Albert is out at the plate. Stubbs got him. And he prevents the go-ahead run from scoring. So Drew Stubbs throws out Albert Pujols at the plate. And it is a 1-1 game.
Albert knew immediately that this ball was going to fall. He took off, rounding third, getting the green light the whole way, but Drew with the throw, it probably wasn't one of his better throws because it skipped 2 or 3 times, but it was on the line. Nick caught it, slapped the tag down simultaneously as Albert's coming in to slide into his glove.
Well, here is the guy that has been such a difference maker for the Angels this year, late in games, Johnny Giavotella. He drove in what proved to be the game-winning run last night. He has 6 game-winning hits this year, second only to Nelson Cruz, who's having a phenomenal season in his first year in the Pacific Northwest. Johnny Giavotella has been the old Seth Smith for the Rockies back in the day when he was Mr. Late Night. And he works himself into a hitter's count. It's 2-0.
Nelson Cruz has 7 game-winning RBIs.
How about Mike Trout? 400 career runs. The only player in history to do it in 530 career games or less. 400 home runs. And the rest of those numbers. This will get Oberg out of the inning. A fly ball to Cargo in right. But the Angels get the equalizer on the base hit by Ibar. Stubbs' stroke cuts down Pujols, so it's 1-1 as we go to the 8th. Cargo will lead it off. Inning, the Rockies will have Cargo, Rosario, Morneau against Joe Smith, the sidewinding veteran right-hander. Who wants tacos? Fans follow at @RootSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies score 7 or more runs. For Joe Smith, who's been around, will come into the ball game here in a 1-1 game in the 8th.
He's the Angels version of Brad Ziegler down in Arizona, but he's a harder thrower.
He's a harder thrower, but he's not had the success against lefties Ziegler's enjoyed this year. Lefties hitting .344 against Joe Smith. Cargo 0 for 3, a line out, a strikeout, and a little pop out to the left side.
Might not be a bad time for Carlos to lay down that bunt towards the third baseman.
And Cargo takes a strike, according to Phil Cuzzy. Shift on for Gonzalez, outfield tilted toward left center. And that's a strike.
It was a wiffle ball frisbee.
Well, Jordan Lyles back in the dugout, and there's no bandage, nothing wrapped on that hand. So, again, the x-rays were negative, which is outstanding.
We'll ice it a few more times tonight. Well, that was a really good sign if he didn't have any bandages on, no ace wraps, anything to help constrict some of the swelling.
Heaters down low, 1-2. Smith came up with the Mets, reached the big leagues in 07, had 54 appearances for the Mets in 07. He was there in 08, then on to Cleveland. Last year was his first year with the Angels. Had a 1.81 ERA and 76 appearances last year, including 15 saves, most of his career. And strike 3 on Cargo.
Fans, you can follow live Rockies baseball in 2015 with MLB.com and bat on your phone, smartphone, or tablet. It features scores, stats, highlights, and more. Download MLB.com at bat today.
Rosario a single, and the only Rockies run scored back in the 4th. This is up the middle, and the second baseman, Giovatello, will make the play. 2 outs.
Giovatello smothered that ball.
Came up late on him, didn't it?
Well, because he's wondering if it's going to hit the seam between the dirt and the grass. And that's why he stopped. So off the mound, or behind the mound, and then he stopped because he was going to get an in-between hop if he continued on.
2 outs, Morneau at the plate. He singled in the 4th inning. The Rockies with a single run tonight. They had 2 runs last night. They lost 9-5 on Sunday against the Dodgers. All 5 runs came in one inning against Clayton Kershaw. Previous 2 ball games prior to that, 1 run, and they lost 13-7. Only the second time this year that they scored 7 or more in a game. The point is, the runs have been few and far between for Colorado. 9 hits tonight, just 1 run.
Well, part of it we talked about a couple innings ago, the lack of walks from the offense, and their team on base percentage is .317, which is 9th in the National League.
And after really swinging the bat well with runners in scoring position in April, they've not done a good job in May. Joe Smith was already in the dugout getting a drink of water. He was outside. Again, Tommy Runnels running the club tonight. Walt Weiss had to leave a couple hours before first pitch with a stomach ailment of some sort. And we don't have any further news on Walt's condition right now. Hopefully he's doing well. 1-2-3, 8th inning, 1-1. As we go to the bottom of the 8th inning, Boone Logan's going to take over for the Rockies. Time for our CenturyLink link to what's next. It was announced earlier this afternoon. Chad Bettis will pitch tomorrow to open up that series at Dodger Stadium against Los Angeles. It'll be his 2015 Major League debut. He's been solid in Albuquerque, 2-2 with a 3.97 ERA and almost a 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. He's being converted back to being a starter this year. He originally was a starter, went to the pen. That didn't work out for him, and he feels more comfortable in a starter's role.
Well, Boone Logan coming into the game. The Angels were scheduled to have 2 left-handers hit, and the first one was going to be Matt Joyce. Instead, they flip it over to Colin Cowgill as a pinch hitter from the right side. Daniel Descalso is now at first base, and it must have been something that happened to Justin on the swing.
Yeah, there's no way Morneau would be out of the ball game. So Descalso is in there at first. Oberg goes 2/3 of an inning, gives up a hit and a walk. The hit allowed a run to score. That's charged to Bergman. Bergman goes 5 1/3, a run on 3 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts. He was terrific tonight. Both closers are up. Axford for the Rockies, Street for the Angels. This is where the game was tied last night, 2-2, and the Angels got 3 runs, and then they brought in Street, who closed it out. 2-2 on the former Diamondback Colin Cowgill. And this is in the air, pretty well hit the center. Stubbs will have room, and Drew makes the catch, 1 out.
An all-important leadoff hitter. Get him out.
The difference with both closers being up is the Angels will bring in Street in the 9th inning regardless of what happens here in their 8th inning at bat. You got to figure the only way Axford's coming in is if the Rockies take the lead in the top of the 9th.
That's the way it's played, and when you're out on the road, home team always bring their closer in a game that's tied, or obviously if they're ahead.
One ball, one strike on Carlos Perez. Fly ball to right field and pop to short tonight for Perez. 8th day in the big leagues for the native of Venezuela.
The first catcher from Venezuela to catch for the Angels.
That's surprising because there's a great number of Venezuelan catchers in the game. They've had 25 players that hail from Venezuela, play for them in their history, but this is the first catcher. Perez really feels like he grew in winter ball in Caracas this past offseason.
Well, you're playing with a lot of veteran guys, so you learn from them, you understand, you watch them, learn, keep your ears open.
There's former Rocky Chris Iannetta. And this is popped to shallow center field, and it's going to drop for a base hit. DJ couldn't get there. Stubbs had too far to go. So it's a 1-out bloop single.
We'll see the shift in where DJ was playing. And so you take the drop step, you go out to try to get it. You don't want to take your eye off it like you would as an outfielder, because you're running back there and you're not sure which way that ball is going to cut. Was it off the end of the bat? Is it going to swing away from you? Is it going to cut back to you? And for DJ, just didn't have long enough arms to get all the way out there.
C.J. Cron, 0 for his last 17, is at the plate, pinch hitting for Krause.
He had a deep drive to center field last night. He pinch hit for Krause in the 8th inning.
Well, we chatted about this earlier, the fact that the Angels have gone from one of the most prolific offensive teams in baseball last year on their way to 98 victories to one of the poorest so far this year. And Howie Kendrick is gone. You can focus on that, certainly. Also, the whole Josh Hamilton situation. A lot of guys around this club have said, that's a shattered bat. And Nolan takes off to avoid the piece of wood that was flying in his direction. But a lot of people around the Angels have said they haven't fully reconciled what went down in their minds. And there are a lot of players, not only, at the top, Artie Moreno, that are upset with Josh Hamilton that he never publicly thanked the Angels for, paying him a ton of money. And he obviously didn't hold up his end of the bargain. I understand he has demons, but he never publicly acknowledged his teammates, acknowledged the Angels organization at all.
And the Angels are still on the hook for about $71 million of his $80 million that's still owed to him. So yeah, I mean, if you want to thank anybody, that's who you should be thanking.
That's in the air down the right field line and out of play. It became more about the Rangers bringing him back, and I don't know if Josh Hamilton didn't think it through or got poor advice, but in his situation, in my opinion, he needed to spend some time apologizing to the Angels fans, to his teammates, and thanking the organization for what they ended up doing, not only initially, but also sending him back to Texas.
And it's also a team within the division. So you're going to face him more than if it was somebody in another, if you traded him to another league.
And I know he would have periods where he didn't perform like he used to, but it was still Josh Hamilton, and that probably helped Mike Trouts and Albert Pujols get better pitches. Not to mention having, Howie Kendrick also in the middle of that order. Ooh, that was nearly thrown away. Good job by Descalso. 1 out, 1 on. Perez at first. And it's a 3-2 count on the pinch hitter, C.J. Cron.
It was just a courtesy throw over to see if Carlos Perez would take off. I don't think he will.
Not going. Swung on and missed. 2 outs as Boone Logan strikes out Cron.
All fans attending the Saturday, May 23rd game, the 2:10 game, will strike out Stroke Fast Magnet. Join the Rockies in their effort to raise awareness of stroke warning signs and the importance of acting fast. And that is at the 2:10 game, because that is a doubleheader that night after the rainout against San Francisco last week.
So Cole Calhoun left on left with 2 outs and Perez at first. Calhoun a single in the 7th inning. Takes inside. Calhoun hit 17 home runs his senior year at Arizona State. That's right, he was a senior sign. Spent his first couple of years at Yavapai, which is junior college you're very familiar with.
Rough Riders.
Yeah, really good baseball program.
I grew up in Buckeye, which is just west of Tempe.
I'm sure Denver folks will be pleased to hear this. Cole Calhoun is a big Denver Bronco fan.
Isn't everybody?
And now they hope he hits a ground ball to second to end the inning. I'm glad you're a Bronco fan. Thrilled about it. Now make the third out. 1-2.
One strike away.
1-1, bottom of the 8th inning. The Rockies have out-hit the Angels tonight 9-5. Colorado desperately trying to break the 10-game losing streak. Houston Street's got to be ready. He's been throwing for a while. Only the third time in franchise history that they've lost 10 or more in a row. Good movement by Hundley, no swing. Calhoun has been one of the Angels' top offensive players, especially over the last 3 weeks. He's hitting .351 over his last 20 ball games.
Put a lockdown on the leadoff spot.
2-2, and it's fouled off. And on that 2-2 pitch, Perez took off.
Pretty good jump by Perez.
Calhoun calls time. Rockies in the top of the 9th inning will have Stubbs, Hundley, and LeMahieu. For Dickerson, very shallow and close to the line and left. That's outside.
Well, the left-on-left matchup, even Cargo and right is taking away the right center field gap. And this is a guy you want, because you don't want number 27, Mike Trout, coming up.
And it's bad enough now you've gotten yourself in a full count. So Descalso will move behind the runner, and Perez will be off with the pitch. And if you get one in the gap, even though Perez is a catcher, higher possibility that he could score. 3-2, swung on and missed. Boone Logan gets the strikeout of Calhoun. So we'll go to the 9th inning. The Rockies won, the Angels won from Angels Stadium in Anaheim. Are back in Denver. Jenny? Yeah, the Rockies have struggled to score runs, and now they'll have to try to do it against the former Rocky Houston Street, who had a 1-2-3 ninth inning and earning his 11th save last night. Houston Street will go up against Drew Stubbs, Nick Hundley, and DJ LeMahieu in a 1-1 ball game. The Rockies 9 hits, Jeff, all with 2 outs. Dougie did some research. The last team with 9+ 2-out hits, looks like Charlie Blackmon's going to hit for Stubbs. The last team with 9+ 2-out hits while scoring a run or less in a game, the Texas Rangers back in August of 1989 in a 2-0 loss to Seattle.
Well, let's don't wait till they get 2 outs tonight. I think that's the key. And
send that run right here.
Right. And that's why you're going to get Charlie Blackmon to come up and pinch hit for Drew, so you have the right on left matchup. Because Houston, with the 11 saves, as you said, Drew, is tied for second in the American League.
And the first pitch misses to Charlie down low.
But this is not a save situation, so you just get after him. You pin the loss on him.
Blackmon fouls it into the upper deck. 1 ball, 1 strike. Charlie 0 for 3 in a sacrifice last night. He was robbed by Cole Calhoun of a base hit. Houston tweeted that out earlier. Thankful to be an Angel for 2 more years.
He came over from the Padres on July 18th last year. Had a total of 41 saves between the 2 clubs.
Freese hoping for a play, but that's over the Angels dugout, out of play, and then David Freese must have a little soccer in his background. 1-2 on Charlie, who's hitting .349 against righties this year. Carlos Perez has impressed his manager, Mike Scioscia, which, if you're a catcher, is probably hard to do. And there's a strikeout of Blackmon.
Catchers are always, catchers that turn manager are always very critical of the guys behind the plate. They know the importance of what's happening and how they control the game. Nick 0 for 2 in his career against Houston.
Hundley with a 13-game hitting streak coming into the night. 0 for 3, couple strikeouts. The Rockies tonight have struck out 13 times. 8 against Hector Santiago. Matt Morin, who worked 1 inning, struck out 2. Joe Smith last inning struck out 2. And now Houston Street has begun the 9th inning with a strikeout of Blackmon. Street, one of the highest save percentages in the history of the game. 10th on that all-time list.
286 career saves.
Of course, any closer seems to remember the ones he didn't save. And for Houston, there's that ball game against Philadelphia, game 4 of the divisional series in '09. That's a strike. But the way teammates, I think, look at it, and well, they should, would the Rockies have been in the same place without all the ball games that Houston saved prior to that one? 2-2, and Hundley hits it on the ground to short. 2 outs. LeMahieu coming up. How about this? Highest save percentage since 2012. I guarantee you most people would say it's got to be Craig Kimbrell #1. It's not Craig Kimbrell #1. He's #2. Houston Street has saved 93.1 of his opportunities since 2012.
But the difference between Houston and those other guys, the other guys throw hard.
Throw really hard, yeah.
And Houston doesn't.
Kimbrell's got the invisible fastball.
The vapor fastball. All it does is leave a trail of smoke behind.
Now it's interesting. Axford is still up, so Axford apparently is going to come in the ball game even if it remains tied in the bottom of the 9th. And this is a comebacker, so Street works a 1-2-3, top of the 9th. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th. The Rockies won, the Angels won.
Angels of Los Angeles now into the ball game for Colorado. John Axford. It's been 7 days since he's been out on a big league field. Last time against Arizona, and he'll face one of the most dangerous hitters in the game, and Mike Trout. And your swing really evolves. Your stance evolves. We'll go back all the way to 2011. Notice where the hands are a little bit higher in his stance. His left foot and his hips are more open than what they are in 2015. He's dropped the hands, closed that hip off along with the foot, the lead foot, but the result is the same. As both of these swings produce a home run, a nice down to up swing, the hands close to the body, but then a high follow through. You know, for Mike Trout, it's just been a transformation going from this young kid even to now just 23 years of age to one of the top players in the game.
He famously grew up in the small town of Millville, New Jersey. As he will face John Axford. And his senior year, Mike Trout hit 18 home runs in 26 games.
Why did they keep pitching to him?
I don't know. John Axford will make just his 7th appearance. Jeff mentioned it's been a week. He's faced only 3 hitters since April the 28th. Part of that is all the bad weather the Rockies have had to endure. And he starts out Trout with a good overhand curveball that just missed, ball 1.
"11 pitches a week ago Wednesday against Arizona."
2-0 on Trout. Trout scored the only run for the Angels in the 7th inning. He was robbed of probably a double on a diving stop by Arenado, and Arenado got the force on Calhoun. Trout would score after a Pujols double and then a base hit by Eric Ibar. So Axford getting Trout, Pujols, and Freese, trying to send it to extra frames. 1-1 in the ninth. And this ball is lined to right. Cargo coming on, and he'll get there.
Ball had some run into the hands of Mike Trout. And I like this move. I know some people say, well, why don't you save your closer? You get the lead, you bring him in, but you don't have a chance to get that next at bat, then your closer does you no good. So he hasn't pitched for a while. I get that. So you bring him in, you hope he settles this inning down. You have your offense one more chance. Jason Street's going to be out of the game.
Yeah, I'll tell you another reason why I like it, and it's the numbers on the bottom of the page. You have the three toughest hitters, or really the two toughest hitters in Trout and Pujols due up. Pujols 0 for 7 lifetime against John Axford. And I think everything you factor in, his inactivity, the 10-game losing streak, who's coming up for the Angels, and Tommy Runnels, who's running the club tonight in the absence of Walt Weiss, saying the heck with it. I'm gonna play our best arm right now and try to get it to extra frames. Good curveball. 1-1. Fernando Salas is throwing in the Angels' pen.
A little extra bite on the curveball. Snapping that off at the end of the delivery.
Albert, a ground rule double in the 7th inning. 1 out, nobody on. 1-1 in the bottom of the 9th. And that's out of play.
This is always the tough choice if you're John. Do I come in with the fastball or do I throw another curveball?
Pretty good breaking ball tonight. See what Nick Hundley puts down. He wants the curveball.
I like the call.
Yep. 3-2 on the 35-year-old Albert Pujols.
John must not have had the grip that he wanted.
He either saw it well or was sitting on
it. Stayed up enough where he did see it. I was watching Nolan now at third base. He took a step to his right, guarding the line more.
Fastball, and it's on the ground to third. Nolan's got it. Well, he was moving toward first. I thought he was going to run it over there. 2 outs.
He's just making Albert run.
Two gone. David Freese 0 for 2 and a walk.
Again, some more numbers on the positive side for John Axford. 0 for 6 career, 4 strikeouts against David. The other thing you have in your favor, if you're Colorado, you still have Rafael Betancourt, another guy that can close the game on the backside.
Good looking fastball for strike 1-1. The frustrating things, and when things are not going well, and clearly they have not gone well at all the last couple of weeks. But the Rockies back-to-back have gotten really good pitching performances, but not enough offense. This ball's hit well to right, but Cargo's going to move back and make the play. So John Axford, a 1-2-3 ninth inning, gets Trout, Pujols, and Freese. Will go extra frames in Anaheim. Tied at 1. Season-long Jack Link's beef jerky. Feed your wild side. So the Rockies will go extra innings in Anaheim against the Angels. The third time the Rockies have been in extra innings this year. They're 1-1. It's just the second time the Angels will play an extra inning affair. They are 0-1. Fernando Salas, who came with David Freese in the Peter Borges trade from St. Louis to Anaheim, will make his 15th appearance of the year. 11 strikeouts, just a couple of walks. And it'll be the top of the order for the Rockies. Corey Dickerson, Troy Tulowitzki, Nolan Arenado against the native of Mexico.
The ERA is coming down because his last 7 games or outings have been scoreless, including the last 3. He's been out on the hill. Lefty's hitting 188, righty's 271.
Dickerson tonight has a couple hits. It's his 11th multi-hit game of the year. He's got the average to 320. Rockies got their run in the 4th inning. The Angels got their run in the 7th. Jordan Lyles again tonight went 1 inning, and in retiring Albert Pujols lined the ball off his hand, his throwing hand. Got redirected to the right side. DJ LeMahieu made a nice pickup and threw him out, but that was the end of the evening for Lyles. No fracture though. Home run swing from Dickerson. Lyles back in the dugout. Obviously it was pretty swollen, but no fractures, the great news. Then Christian Bergman came on and he was tremendous. 5 1/3 innings. He ends up giving up a run in the 7th. And Scott Oberg, who came in for him, allowed a base hit.
If you're going to give out gold stars tonight, Christian will get a couple of them for his work.
Well, in hockey, they're the first star, the second star, the third star.
He'd clean them all up, I think. Well, maybe get the first 2, and then whoever gets the game winner here would get the 3rd star.
Probably how it would work. 1 and 2, see if Dickerson goes to that spread out approach against Salas. He does. Toes up and Didn't matter there. He swung through it. And now the Rockies have struck out 14 times tonight.
They did go the toe up, back down, but a running fastball that Corey couldn't catch up to.
We were discussing this earlier. Pitching up in the strike zone. Mike Trout does not hit nearly as well with pitches that are up in the strike zone. But there's that fine line, because then you'll say, oh, he left that pitch up. And I think what they mean by that is if it's thigh high or close to the belt, that is thought to be up. When you pitch around the letters, you don't see, especially if you have any sort of velocity, you don't see guys do a lot of damage up there. It's enticing, but it's hard to get on top of that.
But you really don't even need velocity. If you look at Coleman or you reference Chris Young, those guys don't have the 90-plus velocity, but they'll pitch up by the letters.
Salas with 2 quick strikes on Tulowitzki.
Salas' second best pitch is the changeup.
This ball's in the air to deep left. Trout going back. He leaps and makes the catch. He took a home run from Tulowitzki. How many times has he done that in his career? It's like he had it the whole way.
And the wall here out in center field is only about 9 feet high, so it's easy to jump up and rob home runs if you time it right. And for Mike Trout, this has become almost routine. You see it almost weekly on a highlight reel.
That clearly would have gotten out. 2 outs, Arenado at the plate. And Nolan pops it up in the infield. Shallow center field, actually. Ibar goes out. Oh, nearly dropped it. Well, Tulowitzki gave it a ride, just not far enough to elude the game's best player, Mike Trout. Rockies would score in the 4th inning against Hector Santiago on this base hit by Drew Stubbs. He came with 2 outs. William Rosario started the rally with a 2-out single. And in the 7th inning, Manny Ibar against Scott Oberg. On the first pitch, Oberg threw to him. He singled to center field. That would drive home Trout. Pujols was cut down on the throw by Stubbs, and that's why we are still playing. Tulowitzki in the 10th inning a moment ago thought he hit a home run to put the Rockies up, and Mike Trout took it back. Christian Friedrich on at the bottom of the 10th. Eric Ibar will flip over and hit from the right side. Ibar is 2 for 3, a single and a double.
And hitting right-handed is hitting at a higher average, 296. This is where Christian really has to think about if he's going to cut that fastball in, get it under the hands like that.
Usually with switch hitters, you see the average higher from the left side just because they get more reps there. In fact, there's some scuttlebutt out of Boston that Pablo Sandoval may drop hitting right-handed. I don't know if he's bought into that, but
he did that at one point last year, 2 years ago when he was injured. He had part of a wrist or maybe an oblique that he only hit from one side for a while.
2 balls and a strike on the veteran Ibar. The Angels have set 10 Rockies down in a row. And that's going to be a base hit to left. So the winning run is aboard and a guy that can really run in Eric Ibar.
Well, and you have a guy that can handle the bat, Giavotella.
You know what he's going to be doing.
He's going to lay down a bunt.
.58 second baseman for the Angels. And he gets a perfect bunt down. Descalso got back to the bag to get the throw from Friedrich. So now Ibar at second with 1 out. And Colin Cowgill will have the first opportunity.
Nick was out talking to Christian. How do they want to pitch Cowgill? For me, you pitch him away. You don't pitch him inside. That's his strength. And for a guy that doesn't get as many at bats as a regular, that's a place that they still like to pitch. Away, you feel for it more.
And that's ball 1 on the former University of Kentucky All-American Colin Cowgill. Diamondbacks took him with their 5th round pick in 2008. That's a strike on Cowgill. Good Trout with the home run saving catch last half inning.
I said good speed at second with Ibar. Be careful with him. Don't let him get a big jump. Wow, that was a late call.
That's really late. Phil Cuzzi granted Cowgill time. Friedrich was already coming to the plate. Two and one.
It was Albert who was thrown out at the plate by Drew Stubbs on the single to keep it at a 1-1 game.
2-2 on Cowgill with one out. Ibar leads off second, 1-1 in the 10th. Swung on and missed. And the out's recorded at the plate. And I don't think Nick didn't see Phil Cuzzy's signal that he tagged him, and he went ahead and completed the play at first.
Well, the umpire's not going to say anything. He's just going to signal. And for Nick, he had to worry about the runner at second base, the runner going down the line. You don't have time to really look back. And when he did look back, Phil hadn't made the sign yet. Watch this. As Nick looks back, there had been no discussion. And then after he turned his head, he threw his arm up. That's why he made the throw to first.
Now the Rockies will face Carlos Perez here. They could have passed on Perez, who has swung the bat well in this opening week of his big league career, and gone to the veteran C.J. Cron, only because Cron's 0 for his last 18.
And you also would have a force play for an infielder if it's a ball that's out of his reach or have to dive for. Wouldn't throw it all the way across the diamond.
Fastball on the inside corner. It's 1-1. Perez last Tuesday in his major league debut hit a walk-off home run. One of the few who've ever done that in their big league debut. It's fouled off, 1-2. Perez has also played in the Blue Jays and Astros organization. Finally gets to the big leagues with the Angels. One pitch for Friedrich, and he can get the Rockies into the 11th inning. Here's the 1-2. And again, a really late call by Phil Cuzzy, granting time.
2 times in the last 5 or 6 pitches that Christian wanted to throw.
Now the 1-2.
You and I were talking with Christian a week or so ago back in Denver and asking him about his release point or his target, where he views the target out on the road different than at home. He said, yeah, on the road, I look at it in a different spot. I might finish out in front more with my breaking pitch. So the window, I know it's going to break more.
That's the adjustment guys have to make. There's the curveball down, 2-2. Perez 1 for 3 tonight. Ibar leads off second with 2 outs. 2-2.
A young hitter like Perez, there's no book on it. There's no book saying, well, he has trouble with the changeup or he has trouble up in the zone. So you're just trying to figure out, based on swings, what's going to get him out. They tried to go with the changeup 2 pitches ago. The last one was a fastball. Now do they go to the curveball?
2-2. Got him. Well, to finish it at first base, Hundley does that. Great pitching by Christian Friedrich, and he got him with the breaking ball. So we'll go to the 11th inning, tied at 1. Friedrich strands Ibar at second. season long. Jack Link's Beef Jerky, feed your wild side. We go to the 11th inning at the Big A in Anaheim. The Rockies won and the Angels won. Third extra inning game for the Rockies. They're 1-1. The Angels are 0-1 so far this year. And we just got official word on Walt Weiss, why he had to go to the hospital late this afternoon. Tommy Runnels has been running the club. Walt had to have an emergency appendectomy, and he had the procedure tonight. And the word is he'll be released tomorrow at some point. And when he resumes duties on the top step of the dugout, still yet to be determined. So Tommy Runnels, I'm sure, obviously, will be running the club over the next several days, as the Rockies will continue this trip north of here in Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium. So the Rockies will have Cargo leading off. Cesar Ramos, the former Long Beach State star, is on for the 14th time this year.
A teammate of his current teammate Jared Weaver at Long Beach State back in 2003, 2004.
Cargo trying to bunt his way on, and he fouls it off. It's interesting because with the shift on, he actually tried to bring that bunt with him and not go in the direction of David Freese.
But two reasons. You had the lefty Ramos out there, so he's going to fall towards the third base side. The second thing is you got Albert Pujols over at first base. Then it becomes sense. A foot race.
I like Cargo against Albert.
I'll take that. I'll take that any day of the week.
And that is a base hit to right for Cargo. So a leadoff single left on left for Gonzalez. The Rockies have to go ahead and run on, leading off the 11th. It's their first hit tonight without two outs.
And this is a pitch that's been just giving Carlos fits. A slider away from him. That time it wasn't out of the zone, and he hit it to right. Broke his bat, but got enough of it, strong enough to hit it over the head of Giovitella.
So Willeen Rosario 1 for 4. Willeen in his career a .329 hitter against left-handed pitching. He had a single earlier and scored the Rockies' only run. That single came against the lefty starter Hector Santiago.
Really turned that pitch over. Changeup fading away from the right-handed hitter Willeen. See Descalso. There's still no word on what happened with Justin and why he came out of the game.
This bounces up there, and Cargo's going to move up. That could be enormous. So Gonzalez to second with nobody out.
I don't think this ball even made it 56 feet. It hit so far out in home plate. Maybe 57 feet. And either way, it kicks off hard off the catcher Perez.
The Rockies have struck out 14 times tonight, but this changes the at-bat for Willeen Rosario. I know he's behind 1 and 2. He's got to find some way to get Cargo to third. Pops out of the way, 2 and 2. Ramos obviously also a teammate of Tulowitzki's at Long Beach.
The Rockies 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position tonight. Would make it 2 for 6.
And it's bounced to third. Freese comes up with the baseball, and he held Cargo, so 1 out. Gonzalez remains at second base.
Nothing Carlos could do at second base with that ground ball. The one area that you could not hit that ball, and and Willeen did.
Descalso came in defensively in the bottom of the 8th inning. 4 more no. So Justin did something. I don't know if it was in his last at bat, but had to come out of the ball game. So Descalso getting his first at bat. And he takes a strike. It'll be a great time to break a long slump for Descalso. Obviously, he comes off the bench primarily. His last hit April the 22nd. He's 0 for 16 since. His last hit was that walk-off game winner.
This wouldn't be a walk-off, but
feel pretty darn good.
It would feel just the same.
Christian Friedrich, it's his game. He pitched last inning and pitched very well. Nobody's up in the Rockies' pen.
Well, he has also done it before, pitched multiple innings.
Well, he and Bergman are the multi-inning guys in that pen. 0-2 on Daniel. This gets away. Cargo's got a hustle, head first slide. He's in there. So now that changes everything. 2 wild pitches has moved Gonzalez from first to third. They'll have to pull the infield in.
Well, again, another pitch that, and this one was more on Perez because it wasn't as bad as the first wild pitch. I know it hit the dirt, but that was just 3 or 4 inches out in front of him. And Cargo heads up, diving into third.
Way inside on Descalso.
There's a lot of green grass behind the infielder, so just make that contact. Spread out. Just think of just trying to play pepper. It'll help you stay on any slider that he might throw.
2-2. Pulled into the camera well foul. Rockies trying to end a 10-game losing streak, their longest since 2005. They're only 8-21 all-time against the Angels. One out, Cargo leads off third, and that is smothered by Perez. Charlie Blackmon is on deck. Another left-handed bat.
You've also had to make the decision if you're going to run on contact. If you do, if you're Carlos, you can still get a pretty good lead at third base because Freese is off the line and you have a left-handed pitcher.
You can get off quite a bit, Jeff, but you also have to get back quickly because you're on the open side for the catcher, right?
Yeah, but with Freese, he's not going to give up that hole with 2 strikes. He's not going to cheat over to the bag.
(3-2). This ball driven deep to right, but foul. Descalso having a good AB.
He's seeing pitches out of the hand. That's not been a problem. Fouling off some sliders, some curveballs.
Next pitch will be number 9 in the sequence to Daniel Descalso. First at bat tonight. And this ball in the air to shallow center. Trout coming on. He makes the catch. Here comes Cargo. He'll challenge the arm. Safe at the plate. Safe at the plate. And Albert Pujols already signaling to Mike Scioscia to challenge. Scioscia on the jog coming out. He's turned around, and now he's going to ask for a review.
Well, Mike Trout caught this off of his shoe top.
It looked like he put the tag on him before the foot got in there. We'll slow it down. But the good news is he was called safe, because we've seen a couple of these go against the Rockies.
Haven't we, though?
Where they basically say there's not overwhelming evidence. Did the foot, that toe get down to the corner of the plate first?
And that's the question. A lot of dirt flying, and you can't tell where the tag is from that angle, where the toe is.
Time for a Subaru review. Whether you're on the road or at the game, everybody could use a second set of eyes. This is a different angle. Well, they've already made a decision. Out. Wow. So Mike Trout has saved 2 runs, one with his glove and now with his arm. Took a home run from Tulowitzki last inning, or 2 innings ago. No, that was last inning. And he just saved a run with a perfect throw to Perez to get Gonzalez. Gets Carlos Gonzalez. Phil Cuzzy had him safe. They reviewed it in New York. Here's Descalso. Shallow fly ball. And this is where Trout's speed paid off also.
Oh, and then to get off the throw on the money, no hops, nothing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 strides before he lets go of the ball.
And a perfect throw.
Carlos was trying the old-fashioned hook slide into home.
C.J. Cron leads off with a base hit toward right center. Blackman will keep it from going to the wall. Nice play by Charlie, and he holds Cron, who breaks an 0 for 18 with a base hit to lead off the 11th inning. And now they'll take Cron out of there and get some foot speed at first base. It'll be Featherstone, the former Rocky farmhand.
That was Rule 5 over to the Angels. Well, CJ allowed him to get his arms extended. Pitches up. And he hits it to right field. Charlie sliding to keep him from going to second base. Now, how do you play this if you're Scioscia? Because if you lay down the bunt, you sacrifice the runner to second, you walk Trout, but then you have Pujols to hit after.
You got to put the bunt down. I mean, if you're Mike Scioscia, don't you? Well, it's not bunting there.
Well, maybe that's what he's saying. If I do bunt, then I'm going to take the bat out of Trout's hand. But if you're Colorado, you look at, well, okay, if you don't want to bunt, you hit the ball, you hit it to a double play.
Taylor Featherston at first.
Oh, my
you know what? I've never seen that 3 times now. It's like when somebody yells time, Phil Cuzzi automatically grants it.
You don't have to.
You don't have to grant it. You're supposed to protect the pitcher. Look at this. His legs coming up. That's terrible.
All 3 times it's been the same spot when he's getting ready to deliver the ball home.
Two 2-0 on Calhoun. Mike Trout not known for his throwing arm, but he made a perfect throw to keep this a 1-1 game.
He saved 2 runs in the last 2 innings.
This ball hammered to deep right. Cargo's going to try to play it off the wall. He will with the deep. Featherston will get a stop sign at third on a 370-foot single by Calhoun. And now it's first and third. Nobody out. The winning run is 90 feet away. And I'm sure the Rockies will pass on Trout anyhow. You got to load them up.
Well, in right field, Carlos Gonzalez pulled to Larry Walker. Larry probably did this first, where he tried to duke the runner, saying, I'm going to catch it. It didn't catch Featherston. And even with Calhoun, he stopped. He could have gone to second base, but he stopped at first. But it wouldn't have mattered. You're going to put Trout on to load the bases up anyway.
Almost have to play it this way. In the bottom of an inning in extra frames or the 9th inning, you load them up. And you bring the infield in. And try to get the force at the plate. And now they're loaded up with Albert Pujols, the future Hall of Famer, walking to the plate.
They've been putting the shift on Pujols. I'm just saying that maybe this is the time when you would go to that 5-man infield with the shift, so he doesn't, have that big hole at second base to hit it through. But you got to pull the outfielders in. Good speed at third base. You have to be able to throw him out if the ball's in the air. Doesn't matter if he hits it over your head. It'll be the ball game anyway.
Well, here we go. Pujols at the plate, and the first pitch. Boy, Nick Hundley saved that from going to the backstop. And now timeout has been called. Tommy Runnels is going to come out, and he may bring in a 5th infielder. He may bring Cargo.
No, you got Daniel already.
He's going to move Cargo to first base and put a fielder's glove on Descalso. Boy, Descalso just went underneath. It's a long way here. This is an older stadium. It's a long way from the dugout to the clubhouse. I mean, it's down a flight, up a flight, down a hall, a left turn, and then a right turn. I guess he didn't have to go do that.
But it is a long way if he wasn't prepared to bring that glove out.
Which would kind of be surprising because you bring all your tools to the dugout, but the way he went down the dugout, I thought, oh man, he's got to go all the way to the clubhouse.
But this is what I talked about just a moment ago. It's smart to play the 5-man infield because you have to pull the shift on Albert. But you can't just let him just hit a ball to the right side at second base where there would be a vacated area.
1-0 on Pujols. And a swing and a miss. 1-1. Pujols this year, runners in scoring position, is hitting a very un-Albert-like 179. You're talking about a guy in his career who's hit 325 in such situations. A former Rocky farmhand, Taylor Featherston, running for C.J. Cron, is at third. He's the winning run. We're in the 11th. And if that's fair, it'll end the game. It is a foul ball.
Well, just a long strike. Got to hold your breath for a second.
Two on Pujols. Albert called Todd back out on his own even before it was granted, but based on history, it was going to be granted.
He could have gone back to the on-deck circle.
Yeah, do whatever you want. Here's the 1-2. And Pujols, that was Helton-esque. Kind of lost his top hand, just flipped it foul. See Albert losing that top hand very frequently. 11th inning, 1-1. Rockies trying to survive. Bases loaded, nobody out.
A heck of a foul ball from Pujols. But to pull it that far foul on the ground.
One, two. High pop up. Not all that deep. Dickerson circles, and they're going to send Featherston, and the throw's way offline. Angels win it 2-1 on the sac fly off the bat of Albert Pujols.